Anyhow,
Now, what did you have a discussion with Martin?
oh yeah, every Thursday.
Aha.
And Martin did not like me, and I did not like Martin.
Why?
Well, Martin started off by telling me and the Greek that terrorism of any sort is absolutely unforgivable, and the only way to get along is following the footsteps of Mahatma Gandhi. And
Now, wait a second. Why was he questioning the terrorism, and why was that a discussion at your table, even back at this time?
Oh, I was the leader in Boston of a Jewish nationalist organization that backed the Irgun Zwei Leomi, which had been merrily killing Englishmen since 1945.
Yes.
And blew up the King David Hotel. And
Wait a second. Who was the leader? Was that Ben Gurion? Was he?
No, that was Begin.
Okay.
Begin,
I knew something. I don't know all this history, but part of it.
Begin was to Ben Gurion as Eisenhower to no, I can't use Eisenhower. I have to have somebody who actually hated people, like Richard Nixon to Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Okay. So you were part of a movement that were trying to drive the British out of Palestine?
We drove them out of Palestine.
Right, by blowing them up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so you felt like the African Americans, blacks, colored, should operate on the same principle?
More or less.
Aha.
And I supported a man named Williams who down in North Carolina who urged the NAACP to arm itself, and they threw him out of the NAACP. Williams then wrote a book called The Man Who Cried I Am, which is one of the great books of American literature, and I recommend it to you.
So, wait a second. How did you get to believe that the violence would be a better way to do it? Because it worked in Palestine?
It not only worked in Palestine, it also worked in Cyprus. The British got out.
It appeared to work in Afghanistan. It appears to work in certain...
Well, that's the point. Let
me ask you a question. Did Dr. King's movement ultimately fail?
Oh, no.
Did it win?
Yes.
So the peaceful movement worked, but was there violence associated with that?
Not that he controlled or directed.
But
he was in favor.
He probably knew what was going on.
Oh, no. I think he was opposed to it if it did happen. At the time I knew him, he wasn't a leader of anything.
Right, right.
The thought he had was that Mahatma Gandhi, who opposed Britain on the business, on the theory that hurt them in their pocketbook and you hurt them. And since Britain's major export to India was cloth, Gandhi went out and wove his own cloth and made his own string to make the cloth from, spinning it. This is ridiculous. This doesn't do any good. Because even if 400 million Indians are spinning their own cloth, it's not going to affect England one bit. You blow up a British troop train, that affects England.
Well, and there was no way Britain could muster enough strength probably to go after the Indians unless it did it by economic or, basically its own terrorism.
I don't know. I don't really know enough about what went on in India, but I do know what went on here. Martin's call for people to boycott bus lines, etc., which came much later, is effective, but it's slow. Williams is called to shoot a Ku Klux Klaner if he comes on your front lawn is a heck of a lot more effective.
But it's a heck of a lot more potential for that particular person that fires that weapon to lose their life.
Possibly.
More than likely, at least the first few.
Yeah.
You're more likely to be wiped out, as many were lynched and many were whatever. So
Well, but that's the whole point. We had no lynch law. The 1948 and 1952 presidential campaigns actually rejected any law against lynching, believe it or not. That was debated, as was a Fair Employment Practices Commission. That was debated, and that was not accepted.
well, it was a loser. As your book kind of points out, that the reason that you could become, as a Jewish group, accepted in America was because there was another group to be hated.
Yeah. Right.
African Americans. It's a beautiful little thing. Now, as we flash forward from all your history, do you think the African Americans have been provided a good opportunity from Dr. King, and have they lived up to his legacy, the leadership that has come afterwards? Is there some sort of issue as we go forward?
I'm not sure. Let me tell you what I know. King's theory was that we do it quietly and peacefully. But the most effective thing that I know that happened was Carl Stokes' victory in the mayoral campaign in Cleveland. And Carl Stokes was one of those blacks who Senator Reed wouldn't like this, but Carl Stokes could talk like a black and he could talk like a white. And
I think Senator Reed would agree with that.
He could switch it within a sentence, depending on who he was talking to. And Carl Stokes was a friend of mine, so I really liked him. And it pained me during the Glenville riots in Cleveland. I was on the city desk on the Plain Dealer, and the police cars were broadcasting to each other, and we could hear them. We had speakers on the city desk, and the police cars were calling him that nigger mayor and making every kind of racist remark about the guy. And he ordered them out of the black area of Cleveland, and they objected. But not one person died after
that decision was
made. Meanwhile, property was being burned down like mad, and the blacks called it instant urban renewal.
And those weren't obviously their businesses. Those were white businesses.
Right.
As we flash forward, though, part of me says that they've lost part of that war, as they used to be able to be discerning on what business they would go after. It appears, but maybe that's just American media showing me, that during the Watts riots or these other riots, more things get burned down. Mm-hmm. I don't know if the legacy of Dr. King has gone forward, do you think?
Well, what happened in Cleveland was that the rioting took place. Lots of places were burned down. Lots of people got killed before Stokes intervened. And I came home one night, and there was a National Guard Jeep parked down the street from us. And to get home, they stopped me, and there was a machine gun on the Jeep pointing at me, and I had to prove who I was while I was going up the hill. It's pretty frightening.
I don't think people actually recognize, the things that have changed. And we used to have, gun turrets on the Peace Bridge. So there's been a lot of...
Let me tell you one. The Federal Reserve Bank in Cleveland has some statues around on the outside. And my wife and I were once given an architectural tour of the building by a guy inside, and he explained to us that those were really gun turrets to keep the mobs from
storming the bank. Well, you don't have to worry about passive America anymore. They don't appear to be storming the bank, even though they should be.
Right.
I think we should probably wind this one up, and it's been a pleasure. I think we should discuss more topics at some time.
Okay. But we never did discuss, Mark.
Well, we discussed him some.